Prime Field.
4 games. That is how long Blanca Quinonez has been out with a shoulder issue Geno Auriemma has described as minor. And in that short span, UConn's front court has been forced to reveal something uncomfortable. Not about talent, about structure. Because Quinonez was not just another forward. She was the engine of UConn's versatility. A 6'2" freshman from Ecuador who could stretch the floor, bend defenses, and keep the Huskies playing their preferred multi-forward looks. Before the injury flare-up, she was averaging 10.7 points. She was shooting 47.2% from three-point range. That kind of perimeter gravity from a forward does not just add points. It rewrites spacing. It changes who can attack. It decides who closes. So here's the central question. If UConn's depth only works when everyone's healthy, what happens when March forces the opposite? The 2025 to 2026 Huskies were built on interchangeability. Forwards who could switch roles, lineups that could go small without shrinking. Quinonez was the clearest expression of that identity. Then came a flare-up in her shoulder. A recurring issue first noted during the exhibition season. By February 11th in the rematch against Creighton in Stores, she had missed 4 straight games, and UConn had to abandon its preferred shape. In the first meeting with Creighton on January 11th in Omaha, Quinonez played 19 minutes off the bench. She scored 15 points. She shot 7 of 11 from the field. Her presence helped UConn maintain a small look that overwhelmed Creighton's transition defense. But on February 11th, she was not there. And without her, UConn's front court could no longer rely on flexible minutes. The team shifted into a more traditional pairing. Sarah Strong and Sarah Williams took the opening tip as the primary 4 and 5. Then in the second quarter, UConn made a tactical pivot that signaled a mid-February hierarchy change. This was not just a substitution pattern, it was a declaration. Against Creighton on February 11th, the absence created 3 immediate role changes. First, Sarah Strong. Strong moved from a flexible point forward role into a dedicated small ball 4. She logged 19 of her 20 minutes guarding bigger players, and she still led the primary scoring surge early, hitting 2 contested 3-pointers in the first quarter. Second, Jana El Alfy. El Alfy checked in as a true center. Her minutes replaced the flexible minutes Quinonez normally occupies. That allowed UConn to keep interior size, while Strong shifted outward. Third, the perimeter. UConn's pace stayed elite. They matched Creighton in the third and fourth quarters, 26 points in each quarter. But the mechanism changed. Not Quinonez drives. Instead, it became the shooting of Ali Zabel and Ashlyn Shade. Zabel hit 5 of 8 from three-point range. Shade hit 3 of 4 from three-point range. UConn still scored. But it scored differently. And different can be dangerous when the opponent knows what is coming. In March basketball, the closing 5 is not just a lineup. It is a trust statement. With Quinonez available, UConn has a stretch element that is nearly impossible to replicate. A 6'2" forward who forces opposing bigs away from the rim. That stretches defenses. It creates driving lanes. It expands what UConn can run late. Without Quinonez, Auriemma has leaned toward a closing unit of AZ Fudd, Sarah Strong, KKA Arnold, Ashlyn Shade, and Sarah Williams. Defensively sound, but offensively constrained. Williams is a dominant rim runner and shot blocker. She averages 1.9 blocks per game, but she has attempted 0 3-pointers this season. That matters, because it creates a spacing bottleneck. When Williams is tethered to the paint, defenders can cheat. They can clog lanes. They can turn every drive into a crowd. And that is where Quinonez changes everything. Her shooting gravity, proven by her production in January's tightest stretches, pulls a big defender away from the rim. That is the difference between a lane and a wall. On February 14th at Marquette, UConn ran directly into the problem. The Golden Eagles provided a blueprint for defending this Quinonez-less version of the Huskies. Sag off Williams. Clog the paint. Dare the guards to beat you from the outside. The result was UConn's lowest point total of the season, 71. And the warning signs came immediately. UConn recorded a season-low 13 points in the first quarter. Sarah Strong started 1 of 9 from the field in the first half. Not because the shots vanished, because the space did. Marquette's help defense was constant. Williams' defender could camp in the lane. Every Strong drive became a contested battle against multiple defenders. This is where the counterfactual becomes unavoidable. If Quinonez had been healthy in that spot, sagging becomes risky. Her season 3-point percentage is 47.2%. Leave her alone and the punishment is immediate. Stay attached to her and the lane opens. That is gravity. That is leverage. Without it, UConn's first half stalled. They scored just 36 points before halftime, the lowest first half output of the season. Strong eventually exploded for 19 points in the second half, but it came through high degree of difficulty shots. Individual brilliance, not systematic spacing. And that is the difference between surviving and controlling. If Quinonez's absence has exposed constraints, it has also accelerated two internal developments. Jana El Alfy's promotion is the clearest, a 6'5" Egyptian center who moved from developmental project to rotation necessity. The key data point came on February 7th against Butler. Sarah Strong was rested. El Alfy was thrust into expanded responsibility. She responded with 11 rebounds. That is the most on the team. And the rate was elite, 0.3 rebounds per minute. Then came confirmation. Against Creighton on February 11th, El Alfy played 16 minutes and grabbed 5 rebounds. Against Marquette on February 14th, she again played 16 minutes. She became the primary interior substitute. At the same time, Sarah Strong's responsibilities hardened. Without Quinonez, Strong took on greater defensive assignments against bigger front-court players. And UConn's defensive identity held. The Huskies maintained the #1 national defensive ranking. They held opponents to 50.3 points per game. Strong's versatility showed in the details. Against Creighton, she shot 5 of 9. She added 1 block and 3 assists. Against Marquette, she recorded 3 steals and 3 blocks against a physical frontcourt. This is not just versatility, this is trust. Every rise has a cost, and in this stretch the cost is visible in one name, Ayanna Patterson, a former top 5 recruit known for elite athleticism and rebounding tenacity. She averaged 11.8 rebounds per game in high school. She was expected to provide high motor depth during injury spells. Instead, as Quinonez sat, Patterson remained buried. Auriemma shortened the rotation. He increased starter workloads. Against Marquette, Ashlyn Shade played 34 minutes. AZ Fudd played 38 minutes. Patterson played 3 minutes. And those 3 minutes came only as Sarah Williams dealt with foul trouble. Even in the 94-44 blowout of Creighton, Patterson played 5 minutes. She did not attempt a shot. That signals something, not about talent, about trust. The deep bench trust index, including Patterson and Kellis Fisher, hit a season low. Because UConn's depth in practice is not a full bench. It is a healthy rotation. And when that rotation is not healthy, the staff chooses certainty, not experimentation. Quinonez's absence does not just reshuffle the front court. It forces a perimeter burden. Ashlyn Shade becomes a spacing necessity. In a balanced roster, Shade is a secondary perimeter threat. In this version, she is a primary requirement, because Williams and El Alfy do not pull defenders away from the rim. So UConn needs Shade's shooting to keep the defense honest. The workload reflects it. Shade logged 30 minutes against Creighton on February 11th. She attempted 4 3-pointers and made 3. Against Marquette, she played 34 minutes, the second most on the team. And on February 7th against Butler, with Quinonez and Strong out, Shade played a team-high 36 minutes. This is February, but those are March minutes. And that matters for rhythm, legs, and efficiency when the stakes rise. Then there is the developmental trade. Rotations are a zero-sum game. El Alfy's minutes have come directly from the minutes that would typically develop Patterson. In February, El Alfy averaged 16 to 20 minutes per game. Patterson's role shrank as competition increased. Across February 7th, February 11th, and February 14th, El Alfy played 53 minutes. Patterson played 15. El Alfy collected 19 rebounds. Patterson collected 5. That is validation for the current choice. But it also tightens the long-term path. If Quinonez returns and El Alfy holds 10 to 12 minutes because of her rebounding and interior defense, Patterson's route narrows even further. That is a program risk, not tomorrow, but when the next injury hits. UConn is still winning. They are 27-0. They're 16-0 in the Big East play, but this stretch has functioned as a stress test. By resting Quinonez out of caution, Auriemma is prioritizing March health over February dominance. The gamble is not whether UConn can beat teams in mid-February. They can. The gamble is whether the structural shifts forced by her absence hold when the margin for error disappears. Sarah Strong has been hardened into a small ball 4, who can guard bigger players and still produce. Jana El Alfy has been elevated into a rotation necessity. The closing unit has been narrowed, the spacing has been exposed, and the bench has been judged. Quinonez's return would not just add another scorer, it would reopen the floor. It would change who can drive. It would change who closes. It could even threaten Sarah Williams' closing minutes, because a stretch forward unlocks lanes that do not exist when a traditional center stays tethered to the paint. That is the ripple effect. One injury, 3 roles rewritten, and a championship contender forced to show its true dependencies. It leaves one question hanging over the rest of the season. When the tournament arrives, will UConn be the team built on depth, or the team protected by it?
Prime Field.